For a bit of context, this happened to a student who used to go to my high school. I'm going to leave this person's name anonymous, but I'm going to state what they said. They found themselves vingling guarding a secluded mansion nestled in the midst of towering trees. As a house sitter, they were entrusted with the solitary task of safeguarding the opulent house abode while the family was on vacation. As the night descended, an eerie silence enveloped around the house, broken only by the tickling of a grandfather clock that stayed in the foyer. Whatever this person felt was an inexplainable unease as they roamed the halls. The footsteps were echoing around the solitude. The flickering of the candlelight cast dancing shadows that played tricks in eerie ways. Just as when I thought I succumbed to out of place of the moment, a piercing crash shattered the stillness. Now this person froze, heart pounding in their chest, as a cold shiver ran down her spine, as she realized it came from the front door. With trembling hands, I gripped the nearest heavy object, a bronze candelabra, and cautiously approached the sound. With each step brought me closer to the gaping hole within the wooden floor, though I wish I could caught a glimpse of the jagged object lying on the floor. Summoning every ounce of courage, I slowly pushed open the door, half expecting to confront a masked intruder. But what I saw chilled me to the bone. A dead cat had been thrown through the window, its lifeless eyes still staring down accusingly at me. A wave of terror washed over me. Had someone watched me through the shadows, or was it merely a macabre jet? Either way, it was actually chilled portent, as of something more sinister to come. As I turned to retreat, a guttural growl echoed from the depths of my house. My blood ran cold as I realized that I wasn't alone. Footsteps creaked on the floor above me, slowly descending to the grand staircase. Fear propelled me far away from the front door and into the shadowy darkness of the mansion. I stumbled blindly through the unfamiliar rooms, desperate to find a place to hide. Every creak and groan of the old house sent shivers down my spine. Finally, I found refuge in a forgotten library. Its shelves were lined with dusty tomes. I huddled behind a large oak desk, my eyes darting nervously towards the door. The footsteps grew louder, echoing closer and closer. Suddenly the door creaked open, casting a sinister silhouette against the dim light. A figure emerged from the tall menacing, and its eyes glowed an eerie red, and its breath became a raged gasp. I gasped as I recoiled in horror, and the candelabra fell in from my weakening grip. The figure let out an inhuman roar and lunged at me. In the moment of terror, I fought back with everything I had. I kicked and screamed as the creature clawed at my face. The library erupted in chaos, bookshelves toppling over and glass shattering. Desperation surged through me as I realized my only chance for survival was escape. With the renewed determination, I broke free from the creature's grasp and stumbled towards the nearest window. Throwing it open, I scrambled into the still and leapt into the cold, unforgiving night. As I ran past, my legs could carry me, not daring to look back until I reached the safety of the main road. As I collapsed on the side of the highway, trembling with fear and exhaustion, I couldn't help but wonder if I had truly escaped from the horrors that lurked within the haunted mansion. From that night forward, I had never looked at the quiet evening alone in this way again. The peaceful facade of the house could now turn and hide unspeakable terror, and the line between reality and nightmare had forever buried in my mind. I never did house sitting again since then, and I even get nightmares to this day. So this person was house sitting for their family's friend who was going to be gone away for a couple of days. It was in the eerie silence of the sprawling house. A solitary figure embarked on a little fated house-sitting assignment. The owners, the Greens, who had left that town for an extended vacation, entrusting me with the care of their beloved abode. As the darkness descended, casting ominous shadows across the empty rooms, I found myself wrestling with a strange unease. The creaks and the groans of the old house seemed to whisper secrets along the long-forgotten horrors. The tickling of the grandfather clock in the hallway echoed like a macabre heartbeat. Determined to dispel my creeping fear, I decided to order a pizza delivery. The warm, familiar aroma of cheese and tomato and would certainly chase away the chills. I placed my order and settled in to wait patiently. The time seems to stretch indefinitely as I listened to the silence broken by the occasional creak or moan. Suddenly the doorbell rang, cutting through the stillness like a piercing scream. My heart skipped a beat as I cautiously made my way to the front door. As I opened the door, I was met with a blurry delivery driver clad in a red uniform. "Your pizza, sir," he grunted, his voice oddly flat. I hesitated for a moment, my gaze drawn down to the vacant look in his eyes. Something about him seemed off. "I didn't order a pizza," I blurted out, not out of fear of something forming in my stomach. The delivery driver's face remained impassive. "Yes, you did. It's a large pepperoni with extra cheese." He held out the pizza box towards me, and his hands shook visibly. Panic clawed at me as I realized the chilling truth. I had never ordered a pizza. The sinister delivery driver was not who he seems. "Get away from me!" I screamed, slamming the door into his face. But it too was too late. The driver had already stepped into the house, his eyes glowing an eerie crimson in the dim light, his body contorted unnaturally, his limbs elongated with the twisting of the grotesque shapes. I stumbled backwards and my legs giving away beneath me. The monster lunged at me with its sharp claws glistening into the darkness. I screamed as I dodged its attack, at the last moment narrowly avoiding an ultimately end. Summoning all of my strength, I scrambled to my feet and ran. I raced through the house, my body coming in rage grasps, and the monster pursued me relentlessly, its guttural growls echoing through the corridors. I dodged the falling furniture and shattered glass, desperate to escape the clutches of my pursuer. Finally, I reached the back doors and threw it open, tumbling into the cold air night. The wind howled around me as I ran through the backyard, the sound of the monster pursuit fading into the distance. I stumbled and fell, but I refused to give up. I had to survive. As dawn broke, I found myself far away from the haunted house, exhausted and traumatized. The nightmare was over, but the memory of that pizza delivery from hell would forever haunt my darkest nightmares. And so the house on the hill remained empty, its secrets forever shrouded in a veil of terror. No one dared to approach it after all that fateful night, for fear that is encountering the horrors that lurked within. And as years passed, the legend of the possessed pizza delivery driver became a whispered tale of among the vocals, and chilling reminder of the darkness that can dwell on almost in any ordinary places. As darkness enveloped the dense forest that surrounded the secluded cabin, I had been tasked to house sit. An unsettling silence descended upon the house, like a suffocating blanket. It was silence so profound and so absolute that it seemed to be reverberant with the menacing undercurrent, whispering sinister promises of unknown terror lurking within its shadows. I had been warned by the cabin's owner, a blurry doorsman who seemed utterly unfazed by the area's reputation for hosting a Bigfoot sightings. He had chuckled at my initial unease, dismissing my fears as the more superstition, but as night fell of the darkness crept into every nook and cranny of the house, the laughter that had once echoed through these rooms now seemed like a hollow mockery. Hours stretched into eternity as I picked up the dimly lit rooms, my ears straining to catch a hint of movement or sound beyond the rhythmic tickling of the grandfather clock in the hallway. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows with a mournful sympathy that sent shivers down my spine. Just when I thought it was my imagination playing tricks on me, A deep guttural growl echoed from the kitchen. I froze, as my heart pounding in the chest like a drum. Slowly I crept towards my sound, my flashlight beam cutting through the darkness like a feeble beacon of hope. As I turned the corner with my flashlight, illuminated the figure standing in the middle of outside. Its massive framed dwarf kitchen appliances as thick fur shimmering down the harsh light. It was none other than a creature. Time seemed to slow down as I stared into the piercing yellow eyes, filled with the ancient of malevolent intelligence. Its lips curled back into a grotesque snarl, revealing rows of jagged teeth. Fear paralyzed me, robbing me of both screech and movement. Then abruptly as it happened, it turned around and ran out of the house, out of sight. I searched frantically around for no trace of it, anywhere around the house. Trembling, I stumbled back up to the living room and collapsed on the couch, my mind racing with disbelief and terror. As the night wore on, the terror escalated. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed throughout the house, creaking of floorboards protesting under the weight of something unseen. The wind howled louder, as if sympathy within the fear that was gnawing at my soul. Suddenly the grandfather clock in the hallway began to chime midnight. As the last note faded into the night, a blood-curdling scream echoed throughout the house. Adrenaline was pumping through my veins as I searched forward, with my flashlight leading its way. At the foot of the stairs that goes down to the basement, near to the basement door, I pushed it open, and a wave of stale, musty air hit me. Carrying a small faint of scented decay, the flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing a scene that would forever etch into my memory. There was a young woman outside the yard, sprawled on the floor, her body twisted from an unnatural position. Her eyes were wide with terror, staring blankly, as the ceiling blood seeped through numerous wounds from her body, forming a grotesque tapestry from the cold stone on the yard. Beside her stood Bigfoot, towering over the frame, even more menacing than confines of the basement. Its fur was matted with blood, and its teeth were bared with feral grin. Fear consumed me, paralyzed me once again. I could only watch in horror as it reached down and grabbed the woman's body, dragging it towards the darkness of the forest, beyond the reach of my flashlight beam. As the last scream died away, the all-pervasive silence returned to the area. The footsteps ceased, and the wind died down. Only sound remained was deafening beat of my own heart. I stumbled back into the house and into the living room, where I collapsed on the couch. My body was trembling with terror, with pure exhaustion. As I closed my eyes, I could still hear and see the woman's lifeless stare, her body contorted in a way that suggested both pain and terror. The night slowly crept into dawn, with the first rays of sunlight. I filled the cabin without a backward glance. I never returned to that place and never house-sitted it again. I never spoke of what happened, but the memory of that night still haunts me constant reminder of the unseen terrors that lurk in the darkness. I don't know if that was actually Bigfoot or not, but I have a feeling we don't really know what's going on around the place of the unknown. Whatever scares out there, whatever is in the forest, we really don't know what's out there.